Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online Multiplayer Gaming Podcast. It's Friday, it's 1 p.m. Eastern. That means we're doing the show live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb. We've got a lot of stuff to cover today, It's going to be a good show. And you know what? We got chat with us. You miss a lot of pre-show stuff if you're just watching on YouTube or MMOBomb or listening on iTunes and Spotify. By the way, go follow. Click like, subscribe on all that stuff. Help us out. This is what, the ninth time we've started this? Like at least the 9th or 10th time we have started this podcast. But today we're going to talk about new things coming, some dumb things in the world of multiplayer gaming, and then some changes, and you tell us whether they are good or bad. Spoiler, most of them are pretty easy to determine. Joining me, as always, to go through all of it and more, Mr. Jason Winter. What's up, sir?
Can you hear me? Hello?
I can. See, the problem is I can always hear you.
Okay.
It's just whether or not chat can hear you.
Okay, well, hopefully chat can hear me now.
They can.
Oh, yeah. So, Mike, why don't you ask about that thing behind me?
Well, yeah, it looks like a book. What is that? Like the spine of a book is over there.
Well, technically, there's a book back there, but it's being used just to prop something else up. So.
Oh, so that's not the spine. Oh, okay.
No.
What
See,
is
well,
that?
first of all, I was like trying to figure out what to put back there today, and I was just like, I don't know. Let me go to my office. Let me go to my office supply, a little cabinet down here, so I can figure something interesting that has a story to it. So, this is a ruler that I bought in like my first couple of weeks of college.
University of Minnesota, Duluth.
Yes, that's where I went. I remember it was part of it. There was a
What did you major in, actually? I don't know that.
Computer science.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I hated writing classes, which you can probably tell by the way I write. But yeah, I bought 3 things in the shop at the campus. I bought this. I bought a nail clipper, which I actually still use.
Good Lord, man.
And I also bought a poster, and for the 3 of them, I remember totaled up like $1. It was like 50 cents and then 30 cents for the clipper and 20 for the poster or something like that. So it was it just reminds me of a good time when all that stuff could be bought for $1. Back in 1906.
1906.
When I went to college.
So I gotta ask, what is the boxes behind you? I've been wondering that ever since they entered the camera.
I have various storage things. This one in particular it's going to be cleared out once I get other stuff in there, like or once I move it to another cabinet, because right now it just carries all like personal memory stuff. Like I have old birthday cards and photos and stuff like that in there. I'm gonna have another space for that. The other one's below this one. The one below it, there's 3 here. Board games are down there, and like other miscellaneous flat documents and stuff I wanted to keep around. And I have 2 more over there, which we can't see. But
so what you're saying is there's not NFTs in there.
No, there are no NFTs. I have stuff in here that's actually lasted.
Jason's the only one that's figured out now how to have a physical NFT. Wait a minute, what is going on? NFTs are getting out of hand, but as I'm sure you can hear, our third guest on the line for today, Mr. Zach Sharps. What's up, sir?
Not a whole lot. How's everyone doing? It's good to be on the podcast. I had an extended weekend, so I thought, what the hell?
I'm always eager when I get the, hey, I can do the podcast next Friday if you want. The messages. Zach and I occasionally jump into 2s in Rocket League together, and he's like, Friday I could do the podcast. All right, sweet. We'll have you do the podcast. Before we get started with the news, though, Zach, update on Knights of the Forgotten Realm. How's it going? We've seen some new videos on the Helthurian Games channel. What's the latest?
Yeah, so Knights of the Forgotten Realm, it's progressing well. Alpha 2 wrapped up about a month or so ago. And so that's no longer live on the itch page, but essentially my action RPG 2.5D side scroller game is now going through a UI revamp. So if you go onto my dev Twitter, which is at Helthurius Games, you'll see a picture of that. It's still a work in progress, but it's shaping up to look exactly how I wanted, which is always nice. And then I'm going to work on the health and stamina bars, and then I'm going to start working on some later systems that will be introduced, and doing some AI revamps as well. So it's progressing. I don't think that my original timeline of 2022 is that was internal timeline. I never even mentioned it. Is going to shape up to be a case. I'm thinking more probably 2023 at this point.
Oh God, another Star Citizen.
Yeah. Well, Zach he's blaming COVID. Like it's really. It's really changed how everybody in his office has had to work on this one-man project.
Super difficult.
Now everything.
I'm sure Lost Ark is also to blame too.
Yeah,
that's gonna cause delays, but.
Speaking of Lost Ark, Zach's going to have the first look for that up pretty much like on launch day because he'll be in early access for a couple of days. We got a bunch of first looks coming up here. So we got PUBG. We'll be putting one up early next week. Ethos from Free to Play Weekly will be doing a PUBG one now that that's free to play. We've got Mortal Online 2 coming later this month, along with Broken Ranks later this month, and then Lost Ark. And those are just like the bigger ones. There's going to be some other stuff, too. I know Troy is working on some, like, just goofy, fun type videos and stuff. So just keep it tuned here to mmobomb.com. On that note, gentlemen, let's slide over and get started with the news. Is Lost Ark that Diablo-looking game? Yes. That is that
exactly.
And their servers better work. Their servers better work on early access day.
They better work.
That's all I gotta say.
Better work. What's up, fan? Welcome to chat. Well, all right, here we go, gents. I've got 4 items that I want you to tell me whether they're good changes or bad changes in the world of multiplayer gaming. Now, again, some of these will be very, very easy, but I think some of them are a little more nuanced, and maybe one of the most nuanced is the very first one. We found out this week through I gotta say, a rather well put together letter, in my opinion, from CEO Nicolo Laurent from Riot Games. Put a pretty big post up about a lot of things, right? We see that in late December, early January, like wrapping up the previous year, where we're focused this year, that type of post. And there was a lot in this one. Specifically, though, I want to talk about something that was kind of like in the middle. In one of those sections, Laurent started talking about the fallout from the class action lawsuit that we talked about a few episodes ago, $100 million settlement and stuff like that. Talked about like the legal troubles over the last few years stemming from the 2018 like expose article about Riot Games and frat boy type mentality, stuff that has carried on through these years in other companies as well. And he noted the company was at the heart of what became a reckoning in the industry. And you know what? That is a pretty honest, transparent statement of something you probably, PR-wise, didn't want to be all that honest and transparent about. Obviously, though, you're also in a position where you can't really ignore it or you look tone deaf. So this is kind of where we start to get into, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Did you first off think the letter and the clarity that these issues were talked about from somebody at this level were a good thing or a bad thing? Is it just not a surprise to you? They kind of had to do it because everybody, the skeletons are out of the closet. What's your beat on the letter first, Jason? And then we'll talk about something specific when they lay out plans along these lines for the future.
I think the notion that you had to is actually kind of wrong because Blizzard is just like, yeah, whatever.
True. Yeah, true.
Yeah, Bobby Kotick is like, yeah, it's all lies and shit, and we'll do something or other. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, I agree. It's a good idea, and their messaging comes off a lot better than Blizzard's does.
Zach?
Yeah, I think that it's a bit more of an honest sort of take on the matter at hand and in the history of it all, too. I think it also helps now that lawsuit is sort of wrapped up, that they're able to talk about this a bit more transparently and how everyone actually feels. Because whenever you're in a situation where there's legal ramifications, it can be difficult to do that. Even if you want to, it could compromise what your company's goals are. And quite frankly, I don't think any leader is going to do that, even if it's the right thing to do.
You see that a lot when there is litigation at play, where it's like everybody wants the company to say something, and the company probably wants to say something in some cases, setting aside Blizzard, who has said things that are just detrimental to their frickin' cause from day one.
Because their leader doesn't give a crap.
Right. But it's like, man, I'd really like to say something, but I can't. You watch these news stories on big companies doing stupid stuff, and you're like, okay, they got caught. Why don't they just tell the truth and move on? Like, that would be better for them. Well, they might want to, but there are legal ramifications. What I thought was the most interesting in this letter, though, is they're not trying to like just whitewash it or paint it away, like everything that happened. And they're not asking their fans or their detractors to do so either. They don't want people to forget that this happened. Instead, they're trying to include this as part of their company history and use it in orientation for new team members and as a reminder of a direction that they need to move in. And as Q said in the article, and I tend to agree, Jason, that is a remarkably mature response to, look, it's done, we're moving on. No, we're going to hold on to this, and this is a millstone that we got to own, but we can use it for positive.
Yeah, and it also helps they've had 3.5 years since the whole thing really first hit the deck and exploded and so forth. So they've been able to take the time to gauge the response from players and from fans and also from their employees, certainly. And even right from more kind of right from the start, I remember writing about them originally. They said, okay, we're going to try and find a way forward from here. So, and they did a progress report. I think Nicola Laurent wrote another article about a year after the crap initially started. So, yeah, they've had a lot of time to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to go forward, and maybe, as we're going to talk about probably in a bit, the fact that the initial issue was settled finally allows them to move on to some degree.
On the employee front, Riot and Tencent have decided that as part of the long-term strategy going forward, when it comes to employee compensation, because remember, a big part of this settlement, Zach, was to address equity in pay, and to set up funds to be able to negate the gaps in pay over the next 3 years. But also, they're going to be giving partial ownership of the company to Riot employees. Now, we don't have exact numbers on any type of sharing of stock options and things like that. We don't know exactly what this looks like, but to own a portion of the company, you're going to need to own stock. So I assume that's the line that they're going to go down, is some type of profit sharing or stock options. So Riot staff will now have a chance to own a portion of the company and, according to Laurent, quote, directly participate in both the risks and rewards of ownership, as well as having some opt-out options for employees who maybe want to leave at this point or came on just as this stuff was kicking off and are unsure of whether, hey, Riot isn't exactly the standard of where I wanted to work. Once I got here and saw it, it wasn't exactly something I want to be a part of. Looking at taking care of some of those people that want to opt out and leave too. Again, bold moves. Bold moves. Are they good changes? Are they bad changes? Does this give you more or less trust in Riot moving forward? Because to me, it certainly makes me feel a lot better about Riot than Activision. That's for damn sure. Because there are steps being taken here. Now, I'm not just going to blindly say, hey, that's a good thing, because I want to see what this looks like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I want to hear from Riot employees a year from now, 2 years from now, and 3 years from now, not necessarily leadership. But these are changes that we aren't seeing at other companies that are in very similar situations.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of your take is exactly sort of mine. Like it's a good thing on the surface, but as far as next year or the year after that, will they use that as a way to reduce compensation in other areas? I think that's the fear when it comes to these types of things is, oh, well, you get, these incentives, but now we're going to axe some other incentives or give you a worse healthcare plan or, something along those lines to reduce costs, especially once, the impact of that action is seen on a quarterly statement, or an annual statement. So I think it's good, for the short term. I'm skeptical of the long term, but I think that as long as Riot continues to perform really well, I don't think that they will have any of those potential negatives moving forward, like reduced compensation or anything like that. I think that it will just roll on and be an overall good thing for the future. And I don't see Riot sinking, from a financial standpoint anytime soon. I think they're just going to grow and grow and grow. If we've seen, anything from them, it's been a lot of that growth. With Arcane, their series that
was
released
huge.
not too long ago. That was huge. Yep.
That was massive.
And then also Ruined King as well did very well. It was a small game, and Valorant's been doing really well. So pretty much everything that they release has just been taken the world by storm, So I don't really think that we'll see anything but growth from Riot, which means that a lot of those potential negatives I don't think will come to fruition. So I think overall it will be a good thing.
I kind of agree. And Jason, if you look at the short term for this, and by short term I mean like next 2 to 5 years, right? Not 10, 15 years, but the next 2 to 5 years, I just don't see Riot not going gangbusters and making a lot of money. Now, whether they've got so many new projects that we're going to see come to fruition in the next 2 to 5 years, not the least of which, by the way, is the League of Legends inspired MMORPG, which I know a ton of people are eager to take a look at. We're still a few years away, but we've got like the fighting games, and like they have so much on their plate that they're guaranteed to make bango bucks real quick just because of the Riot and League of Legends fan base on day one. Now, whether those games go on to be as successful as something like League of Legends has to be determined, but short term, the prognosis, the outlook, it's got to be generally positive, I would think, if you are a Riot fan.
Yeah, and while I like to think that a lot of this was done, out of the goodness of the heart of the leadership, of course, that's also a big reason for it as well. That because they want to make sure that going forward in this new stage, they have the trust of players and of fans, and also of other entities. Like I almost forgotten, because after the Blizzard stuff hit, I think we kind of just forgot about Riot and all the things they were having. But in like about a year ago, in March of last year, Alienware ended a business relationship with Riot because of the harassment allegations against Laurent. So, and who knows what other companies have or haven't done business with them based on the continuing saga of this and that. So, I think maybe this is a good sign. Maybe it means that if the same sort of pressure is applied to someone like Blizzard, maybe they will finally actually take real action with their sort of stuff as well.
We'll see. Definitely something we'll keep an eye on. I think we all agree. Short term, good news, but where this is not, you don't have the trust, but without verification anymore that you may have had once in the day. Now it's trust, but verify. Speaking of some changes, good or bad one, Jason, don't tip the end of this that happened yesterday, but what is going on or was going on with Lord of the Rings Online? Because all of a sudden it was trending on my Twitter feed, and I was like, it's Lord of the Rings Online. What is trending? What's going on here?
Let's go back to what is rule number 1 of running an MMORPG? If you're changing how the money works, make sure it's a good change and you're communicating it perfectly.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, LOTRO in the past has just not been able to communicate how to buy an expansion at times.
But apparently, there's a currency called Embers, Embers of Enchantment, and you can use those to get max level gear. Not like super advanced raid gear, but decent stuff if you don't want to do like the big raids and whatever.
All right, and we've seen other games do that, like Rift does that, where they sell kind of like the tier B, tier C gear, but not the tier A gear stuff.
Well, the thing is, one of the ways you get the currency, one of the ways you get these embers by deconstructing, salvaging, whatever you call it, gear that you might get in an instance that you don't need. If you play one class, you get another class's gear.
Okay, cool. So I can also farm the currency in game. What is the big problem?
Right. Well, they announced in their upcoming update 32, that would no longer be the case.
Oh.
That the only gear that you could salvage to get those kind of embers would be gear you only purchase out of the cash shop, out of loot boxes, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, you can apparently get these embers from various other means as well, and judging by this one person who talked in the Reddit post about how you get them, what the breakdown was, and so forth, the number you get from salvaging gear you get in game is relatively small compared to how much you get from other sources. But you're still changing it that something you get in the game now can basically only be gotten through the cash shop and through a loot box as well, just to add in a little extra spice. So that did not go over well.
Yeah, I would imagine that would not go over well. So that makes a little more sense on why I'm seeing Lord of the Rings trending on my personal Twitter feed. And in fact, it went over as well as you'd expect. Lead balloonish is the best way to kind of put this one, to the point that they had to roll this back.
Yeah, they finally said yesterday, thanks to all your extensive feedback, which is always
which we were so surprised to hear.
No, they love to
We
hear.
were
They love to hear this
stunned.
feedback.
We were
Yeah.
stunned that fans didn't like this.
They are going to put the plans to change currencies on hold for now, they say. For now.
So
Once we can figure out a way to sneak it into the game
Right.
without anybody noticing,
Right.
then we'll do it again.
that just like smacked of like New World to me when they took out some of the stuff from the cash shop after beta, and they were like, that won't be there at launch.
At launch.
Yeah.
At launch. It will be there, but not at launch. So this is a weird one for me because most of the time, gang, when you see very, very long time established MMOs that they have the fan base they're going to have, right? Without a whole new Lord of the Rings MMO, LOTRO is just, it has the fan base that it's going to have. It's not really going to grow much, and it's not really going to decline much until they announce a shutdown because the people still playing are the dedicated people that are going to be playing until the day it shuts down. Little bit of flux, but there's not going to be any big spikes or drops. So when you see a change like this for a game in that position, which we have seen before many, many times, Zach, that always worries me. That always kind of throws up the red flag in the back of the head that for an established game with an established fan base, that the fan base isn't really going to go up or down much, to make these types of cash shop changes or attempt to make these types of cash shop changes maybe kind of like throws the flag up for me going, they might be in a little trouble. They might be in a smidge of trouble, a smidge of pressure financially to make some changes here. And maybe if you are a fan, you should be a little concerned beyond just not liking this change.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm saying the sky is falling. Do you agree? I don't know.
I don't think the sky's falling yet, but I think that it's evidence that the sky is about to fall in the future. LOTRO's been one of those games that I've been worried about for a while now, and there was a great video.
But it just keeps going.
Yeah, I don't remember who did the video, but I watched the video where they were comparing other games that were shut down and comparing it to LOTRO. And LOTRO is at the point where other games have shut down that, were under the old Sony umbrella. Now, of course, Daybreak and whatnot. But it really, it's not a good sign that they just can't get more people into the game. And a lot of it has to do with the early game and how long of a journey that game is to play. I played probably about 80 or so hours of that game, and I only got to Mines of Moria. Any new player hopping in is going to have that same experience, and they may have sped it up since I last played, but it's very old in a lot of ways that could be modernized to make the new player onboarding experience a lot better and give them a better chance to succeed. But that requires investment, and if they're not making a lot of money on the game and they're not getting a lot of profit from it, then is that investment worth it? And I think really the Lord of the Rings show is their last hope for any sort of new players.
We were actually the EG7 documents. Yeah, they're gonna do a complete revamp and consoles. It's gonna be on consoles and everything. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm part of a Discord group. Check it out on Twitter at MMO Buds if you're just looking for a social MMO group. It's run by a friend of mine, so plug for him. And we were literally talking, this was before this broke, somebody was like, hey, you know what, I might give LOTRO a shot. And it started this like hour-long discussion, Jason, about how for new players, the game's terrible to get into. Like, it is absolutely abysmal to get into. And you and I have had this discussion on, like, should I buy some of these expansions? Should I not buy some of these expansions? There's so many of them. They're never freaking discounted to any meaningful degree. Like, it's an expensive MMO to get into sometimes when you look at it.
Yeah, and even if you did, you could buy like a max level character, you just keep it in the silver waste forever.
Hey man, that's a different game. That's a different game.
But yeah, I remember once, and I've told this story before, when I was working on the Full Metal Alchemist trading card game, and it was winding down. We said, we got two choices. We either have to get more players, or we have to squeeze as much money as we can out of the players we got.
Yeah, that's
we're
the
going to do
red
A,
flag
so we
in
went
my
for
head.
B.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Squeezing less money, though, is PUBG, now officially free to play. We've known about this for a while. You now can buy the $12.99 Battlegrounds Plus upgrade to unlock custom and ranked modes, but you can also jump in there for free. Easy one, gang, I would think. Good thing or bad thing? 1 for PUBG and 2 for the dollars that PUBG will maybe make or not make on this one. Jason, will give you first crack at it.
I'm going to actually go on a limb. I'm going to call this bad thing.
Ooh.
Because, again, you've got a game here that's been around. It was extraordinarily popular.
Oh, yeah.
It had been around
Defined a genre
for
years.
Yeah, it had been around for like 5 years. It's kind of in that category of, if you haven't played it already, you're probably not going to be a big person to get back into it now or to start up now. So I don't know that it's necessarily...
I don't know, man. I'm addicted to Rocket League. I only started playing when it went free to play.
Okay, but Rocket League even was not as big as PUBG. PUBG was like, millions of active players at once.
Yeah, true.
And as I look at the Steam numbers now, it's only about double what it was like a week ago, which for a game going free to play, that's really kind of small.
And that
for a
other
game with 300,000 players, it's not though.
Right, but the downside of that though is when you looked at 150,000 players, every single one paid to be there.
Yeah,
when you look at 300,000, they didn't all necessarily pay to be there.
These are about the same numbers it had 2 years ago, basically. So it's like you just made up that, and as you said, a lot of them aren't paying as much. So
Jason puts it down as bad idea. Zach, what about you?
I'm going to take the opposite take. I don't really think that the player number jump is bad. I think it's actually really good because that's 300,000 people that otherwise would not be playing it or otherwise would not be monetizable.
Yeah, but they are still in that category of, quote, potential customer, not actual customer.
That's true, but there's going to be at least a percentage that do fork out some money. Let's be honest.
I've heard there are a lot of bots too, which is unsurprising. So.
Yeah, but when it really comes down to it, though, I think it's a good thing because, if you would have bought PUBG, you would have already bought it. But you may have been someone like myself who probably will hop in and check it out that didn't really want to buy it, but may want to play a game here or there. And I think that there's a large enough audience that they can monetize off of that to make it a net good thing versus, keeping it at a box price. Because it's kind of like with Rocket League, as you mentioned, Mike. Rocket League had as many people that were going to buy it as were going to buy it. Yeah. So the next logical step is to make it free to play.
Point, right?
Yeah,
which apparently Black Desert Online it just never reaches. Like it just never reaches.
I mean, it kind of does. If you download the trial and you play to a certain amount, you get the game for free. So it kind of is free to play because you could reach that point super easily.
Oh my God, it's an NFT. It's a pay to earn. It's a
play to earn.
Play to earn the game, baby.
Play to earn. But
nobody plays for fun anymore. The Square Enix president told me that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good thing overall that it's free to play now, and I think it's gonna only give the game a shot to succeed moving forward.
Jason, I think it's a bold statement on your side. I don't necessarily disagree, but I think looking at it from a broader perspective, I kind of have to go, it's a good thing. Like, you were capped at box revenue at this point. It's a game that it doesn't do, like, it does events and stuff like that, obviously, but it doesn't do, like, the crossovers and all that stuff that, like, Fortnite is just milking that money, right? Every time they do a crossover, every time they do this event and this limited time concert and stuff, PUBG doesn't do that. It doesn't have those quick fire monetization or revenue streams. They do, don't get me wrong, they do events and stuff like that, but they not to that extent. I think it's ultimately a good thing. Now, if I was a PUBG player, I don't know. I don't know if I'd feel the same. Last up on the good things, bad things, Lucid Games was developing the new Twisted Metal reboot, but apparently not no more, Jason.
Yeah, Lucid Games is now out, apparently, as the developer of the Twisted Metal reboot. And late last night I saw an article. I didn't actually update the piece or whatever, but it says that...
It was a weird company to go with to begin with, though.
What's that? Yeah,
it was a weird company to go with.
I mean, it's not weird from the sense that they actually made a car destruction fighting game before called Destruction All Stars, but it had like a 60 or something, 60-something on Metacritic, so that's not the greatest thing. But now it's apparently being handled by first-party PlayStation studio Firesprite Games.
All right, so good thing or bad thing for Twisted Metal, Zach? A Twisted Metal reboot.
I think it's a good thing. I don't really think we need a Twisted Metal, though, quite frankly.
Shush, we always do. Twisted Metal's awesome.
I mean,
Jason likes Twisted Metal.
I used to like Twisted Metal, too. I just don't really think it's going to do well in the modern era. I think it was it's a good game that we can leave in the past. But I do think overall, though, if you want a Twisted Metal, this is a good thing. It's just I don't really know how it's gonna do, quite frankly.
Jason, I think this has got to be a good thing, right?
Well, it's a good thing for the players. Maybe not so much for Lucid Games, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, we'll put the qualifier on that one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
how about a couple of dumb things? If you didn't know, Aion Classic is a thing, and maybe not as big a thing as it once was, or maybe as it was planned to maybe be, and so there's going to be some server consolidation. No real surprise there. Like, we've seen that in all these games that are spinning up classic servers, and hell, even when a game launches, right? Server mergers happen. Doesn't necessarily mean the death knell for any particular thing. But why am I bringing this up here? Because it's just a server merge of the Aion Classic servers. If you read through some of the processes for this, it is absolutely staggering to me that we have these kinds of processes for a server merger in 2022. And I know current year argument, but whatever. So check this out. Obviously, you might have like names or guild names or stuff like that. Aion is still one of those games, by the way, that on each server you can only have one faction of characters. So you can create a bunch of characters, but they have to be all of the same faction. So how do you deal with that when you merge things? Well, you might have to do a little work. For instance, in the case of a player name conflict, players will need to submit a support ticket. Once that's done, support then will give the person the name based on the level of their character. If one or both of the characters, though, are under level 45, then the character with the highest level gets the name. If both are 45, then the determination will be based on who has had their account the longest. And I'm not arguing with the logic behind who gets the name. I mean, that seems okay. That's fine. You had it longer, Jason. You get to keep the name. You've played longer, but we're both not 45. Why do I have to fill out a support ticket for this then? Why? If you already have this infrastructure on this is how we're going to settle it, then go and settle it. Just be done. How about this? If you have characters that are one faction on one of the servers and characters on another classic server that are the opposite faction, the consolidation will result in you having both factions on the same server, something you can't actually do in Aion. But they're going to let it stand in this case. Maybe. Because if a player with characters of both factions on this both factions on this server, you will not be able to create any new characters, even if you have character slots, until you pick one of those factions and delete all the characters. So whatever race is left will be the one that you actually keep. This is just so dumb. Chat. Okay, that's dumb. This is like the dumbest server merge I have ever heard of, Jason. It's just so stupid.
What happens if you and I both have the same character with the same name, we put them together on the same server? What if we don't fill out support? Then what happens? Can we just not log into those characters?
I don't know. Like, how many games have you been involved in a server merge and this happens and you log in, Zach, and your character's just named, Swotor Stupid 12XX75432175, and when you click on it, it's like, yeah, you lost your name because somebody else had it and they were older than you. Change your name.
That's his actual character name.
Yeah,
that's my actual name. Thank you for doxing me. But yeah, I mean, that's the standard protocol. Is if your name's taken, then you just rename.
I like chat. Say what?
What it is.
Chat, say what?
But it's kind of like it's kind of one of those really ridiculous moments where some executives like, hey, we're losing players, so what do? Let's make people jump through hoops.
Yeah, let's
Everyone
piss them off
loves
and make them
to
file
jump through hoops
tickets.
and submit support tickets.
Because
that sounds like a great
and
experience.
Aion in particular have the greatest customer service to begin with.
Such
Maybe the
great
support ticket is
customer
because they want to
service.
see that players still care.
It's the poor
Sagra
support
in
guy just
chat.
want. Please, I wish someone would send me an email.
Yeah.
The support guy's like,
Absolutely
ticket, I want kids
can
ridiculous.
to
somebody
learn."
send me a ticket that I can actually do something with? Jason, you waiting on that over? Are you a big Lego guy, Jason?
No, I
No.
never. When I
into-
was a kid, I had a knockoff Legos called Lock Blocks. So I've never
Duplo.
really. No, I was never. No,
Duplo.
Duplo's for like 4-year-olds or whatever.
Yeah,
Lock
those
Blocks
were
were
the
like
ones I
released
had
in
when
the
I was real little,
10
and then I
era.
was a Lego guy after that.
Yeah, I never had Legos.
Graduated from Duplo.
I had a ton of Legos.
Yeah, my kids love them too. My middle son Torchwick just turned 18. His room still has Lego models. My room still has Lego models everywhere. Not the bedroom. My wife won't let me put them there, but here. I'd hang them from the bedroom ceiling if I was allowed. Duplo is owned by Lego. Yeah, I know. Yeah. If you're waiting for the Overwatch 2 Legos, your wait just got a little longer, Jason.
Yeah, because the Lego Group says they're just delaying the new Overwatch 2 Lego set they were going to put out in February, I believe. And
The longer they wait, though, the longer Overwatch 2 may not even be a thing. I mean, is it still a thing?
it is still theoretically a thing. But I mean, they might as well go ahead and wait until the game comes out or something. Which again, another year or two, something like that. So
the best part of this whole thing, right? I don't know how I feel about this. By the way, I really don't know how I feel about Lego saying, we're going to hold on this. Like, I get it, and I kind of support them, but I'm also like, just put the fucking thing out. Like,
I think it's more of a business decision than it is a morality decision or anything.
Yeah. So I love the Wendy's Twitter. I know I'm a sucker for the Wendy's Twitter. Some people hate it. I love it. 2 days ago, they tweeted out that, hey, it's National Roast Day. Drop the roast me below. Oh, and don't forget, and they advertised some free fries. The Overwatch League actually replied and said, "You're just like your burgers, square." Ooh.
Oh.
Sick burn from the like when you type that, you probably were like, I should just delete this. But no, they clicked enter. To which Wendy's promptly replied, "Can't wait for those new Lego sets. # National Roast Day." Got 'em. As if that tweet wasn't good enough, there were just a series of replies to that tweet from Overwatch League teams that were just all kinds of variations on different facepalm memes. Just like, oh, shit, they got us. They got us. So hats off to Wendy's. Whatever. This stupid thing's being delayed. Zach, I'm going to give you a minute or two on this one because I know you're a little more than my boat. My boat is that NFTs and things, blockchain technologies, could be good in gaming. Unfortunately, we're dealing with companies that aren't going to use them, for the most part, in the best way that would be customer-centric and profitable because they only look at the profitable side of this thing. You're a little more hopeful for the future than I am. I want to see it go there. You think we can still get there with particular companies. Sega, I want to get your take, though. They're kind of... They wanted to go into this, but they have seen the backlash at Ubisoft, the backlash at Square Enix, the backlash at every other company that's been trying to do this so far. Now they're kind of rethinking things, and I actually think that might be worse for them than had they just decided to do it or not do it, to now have this, well, we're going to rethink it. But maybe as somebody that has a little more hope for blockchain technologies and NFTs in gaming, maybe you have a different take on it.
Well, it really boils down to, I think their position is they want to do it, but they realize now is not the right time. So the rethinking is, well, we're just going to put it on the back burner for now and figure out, okay, when's the right time to sort of re-enter the space. I think that's really what this was. As far as NFTs go, there's really only one game that I think does it well at all, which is a really bad thing, quite honestly, when you consider how many trash NFT games that are out there that I wouldn't even call games.
The number of emails I get, can you cover our game, over the last 4 months is just disgusting.
Yeah, a lot. Because they're just a bunch of schemes to try and just get a bunch of money when their game's not even close to pump and dump. There you go. That's what I was looking for. My brain couldn't comprehend that for some reason. But anyhow, there's a bunch of pump and dumps. They're not at all even a game. Their only game that's out there, like I said, that is even a game is Gods Unchained, and that game's still in beta. Although it's a very polished beta, very good beta. Basically, is a card game that is a TCG because of NFTs. You can mint the cards that you get, and you can trade them and sell them wherever the hell you want, to whoever the hell you want. And it's a really good system and a really good game, just overall. But that's the only game. I went hunting for a while at one point to try and find NFT games that are worth a damn, and I couldn't find anything. It was like a bunch of high schooler projects, worse than high schooler projects in terms of gameplay, that aren't fun to play, that people play just to try and potentially make money. And that's basically it. And it's a shame, because I think there are good areas like card games that they could be utilized in. I would like to see a lot of people wait until things like Ethereum 2.0 are a thing, where the the environmental impacts are negated. But there is potential use cases for NFTs. It's just, the problem is, a lot of people, like the internet in its early days, are in it just for the money and the scams. So it's unfortunate.
When Zach said he went hunting, I thought of like some biblical story where like God's going to destroy Babylon. He commands Abraham, okay, go, if you can find one virtuous person in Babylon, I won't destroy the city, or something like that. So Zach is like, I'm hunting for the one virtuous NFT in the city.
It basically was. It was a war zone of crappy games.
So can God just destroy all the other ones then?
So yeah,
we got two new things coming. I have the B-roll in the incorrect order, so we'll do that. So we've got
it's not the order the show notes are in. I can't handle it.
The Mortal Online 2 release is coming up later this month on the 25th, along with Broken Ranks. Wanted to talk just a few minutes about Mortal 2. It's not really my kind of game. It is definitely more in Troy's line, so he'll be doing the first look. They just put out a ton of changes to beta, like an absolutely massive number of changes to their beta, and added a bunch of different features and stuff. Now, whether or not it's going to help the game long term, there is a fan base for the original Mortal Online. But we also saw, like, Cabal had a huge fan base that really wanted Cabal 2. And when it got Cabal 2, bailed on Cabal 2 because it was just garbage as far as what Cabal players wanted. Do you have the same concerns for Mortal Online 2? Obviously going to be a bit of a smaller product. But, Zach, this kind of always reminds me of something that I'm like, Zach Sharps might like that. But it depends on how they do certain things. I don't know, because you're not a huge graphics. You like good graphics, and you do review things and talk about the graphics, but you are willing to give things a little bit of a pass for being older, and a lot of gamers don't do that, or older designed. I don't know. There's still a hunger for a big sandbox thing out there, and I don't know if this is going to fit the bill.
Yeah, so for my history, I don't like Mortal Online, the first one. I like Albion Online, and I also like Darkfall.
I know you
Online.
like Albion Online.
Yeah, and I also like Darkfall Online as well.
There's a throwback.
That's my sandboxy sort of vibe. I mean, also RuneScape too, but I mean, who doesn't like RuneScape? Anyhow, so Mortal Online 2 is a game that I did try out in one of their more recent tests, and I came away thinking I would play this if their monetization model didn't suck. They're an indie studio. I know they need to make money. Very clear, right? But the problem is the way that they're trying to make money, which is basically a box price plus a sub, is just not going to work, because they need to get more players and a higher volume of people.
The sub is
game.
optional, right?
Is it?
I can't remember. There's so many different things coming out right now that I want to make sure we get that right.
I'm gonna have to check it, because I think that it's not optional, if I remember right.
The basic game of Mortal Online 2 comes with 1 month of game time included, after which players will need to maintain an active monthly subscription.
Yep. Oh, it's fucking doomed.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the problem. Like it has the foundation of a good experience, but the monetization's awful, and it's gonna ruin it. So
it'll be free to play really quickly.
Yeah, for what it's worth, too, I look right now. Yeah. Mortal Online 1 has 10 players on Steam, and 2 has 843. So
yeah,
it's not a Cabal 2 thing. It looks
like. So you're saying 2 is better?
Probably.
We'll see. Last but certainly not least, in the new category, if you're looking for a little bit of new first-person shooter team-based stuff, like big teams, 30v30 type stuff, or 60 players in battle, it is 2 teams though, right?
Yeah. We
got Leap for you. Leap. What the hell is Leap, Jason? What To me, this looks a lot like Tribal. As
Tribes,
far as
you mean?
Tribes, gameplay, which I definitely think there's a market for. The number of people that I see commenting about Tribes still to this day. This does look a bit faster paced. There's like grappling. There's a hover moose, whatever a hover moose,
no,
a robo
hoverboard
moose,
and robo
hoverboards, and there's so
I don't think
much.
you combine them though.
Yeah, there's so much that they put in the trailer, and I'm like, what is going on here? So it is definitely a lot faster paced.
A lot
you
of
can
see,
FPS
like I said,
out
the
there.
trailers. The movement is a big deal here. It's called
Yeah.
Leap, so they want you to leap around and do crazy stuff and whatever. I will admit though, kind of like you, I couldn't figure out exactly how a match goes. 60 players, 2 teams is like, okay, so is it deathmatch? Are there control points? Is it like a battle royale?
I had been doing like a bunch of digging.
Okay,
and none of this is
apparently.
None of this is official. Like this was all from I heard from this and I heard from this, or it was quoted here and stuff like that. But 100% according to their Twitter, it is not a battle royale. 100% it is not. They tweeted out yesterday, if your friends ask you, is Leap a battle royale? The answer is, and they put up a GIF with their like primary face character guy there, and it just said no.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have seen talk, again, this isn't directly from the dev team or anything like that, of modes that you would expect to be there. Capture the flag, domination, team deathmatch, that type of stuff, 30v30. Again, no confirmation, but that seems to be the type of game we're going for. 100% though, not a battle royale.
Okay. Well, I like that it has 60 players, 30v30, because then when I suck, I'll be less obvious to my team.
See, I always look at that and I'm like, I do like the idea of large-scale stuff, like PlanetSide 2. That is the huge appeal of PlanetSide 2, at least for me personally, is how large-scale it is. But when you have matches that big, you also run the risk of you better have the player base to support 60 players without having to sit in a queue for 15 minutes.
No, I think it's also been doing betas. Let's see. Does it have
Well, it's got a closed beta coming up.
Yeah, it's got one coming out. I thought it was doing actual betas, though. Let's see. No, I guess not. It doesn't have Steam charts.
The thing is, too, is when you have a game that's 30 versus 30, you better hope that your game designers are on point, because oftentimes the larger the player count is, the worse the game design is. And I have that issue with Battlefield, quite frankly, where the maps just are not that great. It's just a bunch of flat surfaces, and it's very chaotic as a result. It doesn't feel like there's a flow there. Where if you have a more controlled 8 versus 8 or 4 versus 4, then you're going to have a lot more control in terms of where people go, and it's going to feel a lot less chaotic and more tactical as a result. So I don't know. It's never been this kind of
leans just by the design to the more chaotic nature, right? There looks to be a lot of verticality. Movement, as Jason mentioned, plays a huge part in this, and how you're grappling, how you're ziplining, how you're using mounts and doing hoverboards and robo-moose, robo-mooses.
Ed Meese.
I mean, I think they're kind of going for the almost Tribes chaotic churn and burn. You're going to have, if you have a good KDR, that's fine, but the deaths aren't going to be zero for a lot of people. I don't know. Jason, is this something you're interested in? It does, at points in the trailer, have kind of like a PlanetSide 2 vibe, but then it also, does some stuff in cities and things like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, it is. It does look like something I could get interested in. I might.
You can sign up for beta right now.
I don't play betas. Give me the real game.
Sign up for beta right now. On that note, Zach, is something you're going to try out?
No, it's too fast paced for me. I mean,
that's
have
why
a hard
I said
time with
you're in the big
Apex.
team and you'll suck and nobody will know. It's perfect.
Yeah, but I don't want to play something I know I'm going to suck at either. So
why? I play Rocket League all the time. On that note, let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. I think we should start off today with Mr. Jason Winter.
Sure. I'll give a bomb to Spiritfarer, which was my game of the week on Gumbo last week, but I'm still going to give it additional credit here for being just a nice, pleasant game. Very soothing, although very sad because everybody dies. That's kind of the point of it.
Wow, spoiler.
Well, you are kind of taking over the boat of death from Charon, so
Wow.
kind of
More
obvious.
spoilers.
That's like in the first 2 minutes,
Good Lord.
but it's nice. It's very nice and pleasant and soothing. You should play it.
They make it to Mount Doom and drop the ring in, guys. I don't know if you know that. They do it.
That's a
Zach.
70-year-old book. It's not a spoiler now.
Zach, what do you got?
I got a dub bomb to Samurai Zero, which is led by Mr.
Right.
Ethos, who does free-to-play weekly, as you all
Free-to-play
know.
weekly and coming with the PUBG look. Ethos is the man.
Yep. They were selected. Their development team was selected for the Black Game Dev Fund, which basically means they're going to have more funding for developing Samurai Zero, which is fantastic to hear because the game's shaping up to be really, really fun. If you don't really know what it is, it's a tactical hack and slash type PvP game where they currently have a 1v1 and I think a 3v3 game mode that they're currently working on. But they're planning on also having some objective-based play as well. Now that they got this funding, they're going to have multiple different heroes as well that you could choose from. And I played the most recent playtest, and it was just a really fun time. I mean, there's still some rough parts which they know, but I mean, when you have the core so fun to play, those rough parts are something that is going to get fixed, and they've been very receptive to feedback from everyone. So. Definitely,
awesome.
Follow Samurai Zero on Twitter, and also wishlist them on Steam as well.
Congrats. Can you send Jason a link to the announcement? And Jason, let's do up a little piece. I mean, since it is a multiplayer game, specifically on PvP and stuff like that, let's just do a little congratulations news piece on them getting that fund.
Yeah, I'll send that over.
I'm going to give a da-bomb to Tibia, a game I have never once played.
My tibia, like it's
not
fine.
your
It's
tibia.
not broken or anything. No,
I don't care
okay,
about your tibia.
All right.
I just think it's
my
tremendous. Tibia turns 25. That's really cool. And to celebrate, they added sound to the game, which honestly, I thought Jason had made a typo in the headline when I was reading it. I was like, because I've never played Tibia. I've never once played. I know about it. I know like Mike Schaffnet loved that game for years.
Oh,
and years.
I know. Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of Tibia. I think of Schaffnet.
I put him in the tweet when we sent out the article. But I was like, wait a minute, they added sound? Yeah, apparently they added sound. Happy 25th anniversary. Enjoy some sound. From chat, Old Glory says, da-bomb to Unpacking on Game Pass. Short, relaxing game, thumbs up. But I don't believe there's content worth $20. Well, good thing it was on Game Pass then. To call 2399 says, da-bomb to the shambling corpse of Ben Roethlisberger for proving that the NFL is dedicated to diversity. First zombie to start a playoff game. As I said on the Relic Grind last night, it's just very nice of Kansas City to throw a retirement party for us. That's very.
Speaking of relics,
nice.
yeah,
that's very nice. Ninja Panda says, da-bomb to Amazon and Royal Mail for delivering all the stuff I need to start my builds. Ninja Panda's really getting into some of those models, man. From the viewers, Flintstone says, I'm a bit late with this, but here goes anyway. Just wanted to point out what a great, fantastic job you all do here at MMO Bomb. I'm thankful for all your efforts in presenting and letting us know the latest gaming news as it's best in a nice pocket of info. As I've said before, you're always my first stop for latest gaming info each day. I'd also like to urge viewers that call by to add more comments to these wonderful people. They know just how good their efforts are. Get typing and don't be shy to write comments like me, or maybe not, but type something anyway. So cheers to all the crew at mmobomb.com for your dedication and resilience. And I hope there'll be many more through 2022 and beyond. Thanks again. Flintstone, that is super nice of you. Very much appreciated it. Thank you. And yeah, by all means, make sure you leave comments on mmobomb.com and on YouTube giving us your weekly bombs, your question of the week feedback on any of the topics we talked about and what you think, like some of the good ideas and bad ideas we spoke to earlier. Obviously, comments help drive engagement, which gets YouTube recommended, feed the algorithm. But more importantly, I like bringing your comments to the damn show. So go ahead and don't be afraid to put them there. Go ahead, Jason.
Flintstone, I used to watch your cartoon when I was a kid, so I'm a big fan of your work.
Big fan. Yabba dabba do.
Yeah. Misfit Rain says, dub off for Eagle Fang Karate.
A Cobra Kai fan there, I guess. Cobra Kai.
Still need to watch the next couple seasons of that. I've only watched season 1.
I haven't watched any.
No, I haven't watched any either.
What do you got, Zach?
Yamikami says, A-bomb, well, my last post aged like fine milk. Forget what I said. Company closed shop again, and I'm back at home. How was your week?
That was quick. That was
Yeah.
quick. I'm sorry, Yami. That sucks.
Yeah,
Just
it
getting back
does.
to work and then going back home.
About your question regarding Wheel of Time, Mike, yes, for some reason people give the show good marks, and my guess is none of them have read the books. I hate to be the books were better guy, but in reality, the film guy shoved all kinds of, I'm just going to say diversity stuff, into it, and changed a lot of things that were better in the book version.
So
I don't really know too much about that show.
It's been ages since I've read it. I don't obviously I haven't read them all, but it's been ages since I've read Wheel of Time, so I can't comment on like the diversity of any characters or the sexuality or the sexual preferences of any characters or anything like that in the book. It's just been far too long. Jason, have you ever read the series?
No, I've never read them.
So I don't know, and I still haven't had a chance to watch the show. So I'll give my opinion when I see it. But there you go for Yami's opinion. That Harv guy. Okay, so we got to read this like. We do dramatic readings and stuff on here every once in a while.
You want it to go back and forth?
Yeah, let's read it script style. So, Jason, do you want to be the guy that starts, or I want to be the guy that starts?
Okay, you start.
All right. So this is all that Harv guy's comments. Okay. NFTs are a scam.
Nah, Boomer, you just don't understand the new economy of the 21st century.
All right. Then explain to me how fart jar NFTs work.
Wait, what?
Fart jar NFTs.
Huh?
Fart jar NFTs. That's it. That's all the Harv guy got. And that was, I laughed for a good 10 minutes when I was putting the show notes together and I read that. Because I was like, I mean, we all saw, maybe you didn't. If you didn't see the story about fart jar NFTs or a streamer that was selling farts in a jar wanting to now get into NFTs, go read the story. It's just as ridiculous as you probably think it is. And I mean, if that just like didn't icing the NFT cake for me on that day, I just lost it for a good 5-10 minutes. Question of the week this last week was, what is the number one multiplayer or MMO game scheduled or probably scheduled for 2022 that you're looking forward to and why? And if nothing, why there? Nasagra says, if you count expansions, we do. I'm looking forward to End of Dragons. In all honesty, though, I'm not really that excited for anything online right now because I finally found a single-player series that scratches the MMO itch for me, Atelier. If you are just finding that series, you are in for a lot of fun. Turns out the thing I really kept going back to MMOs for was the economy. Yep, life skills and building crafting, which the series does well enough if you look at party and item composition as your build. It does it at such a lower time investment compared to an MMO, because they don't need you to grind, that I really haven't felt the desire to look up upcoming MMOs recently. Also, the games are so cozy and heartwarming that they might even get Mr. Winter's heart, which is as cold as his surname suggests, to feel something for once. Have you ever played the series?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
I don't know if it's going to warm his heart. I don't know. They're fantastic games, though. Fantastic games.
I'm sure.
Go ahead, Jason.
Bah humbug. Arsenal says, question of the week, I'm waiting for Broken Ranks coming out later this month.
So's Troy.
Yep, it's isometric mmorpg with turn-based combat. Reminds me a lot of classic games like Baldur's Gate. Can't wait to try it and see if it's good.
Yep, Troy will be doing the first look for that one. Go ahead, Zach.
Misfit Rain says, Zenith VR MMO. I've played some Orbis VR, and it is good. It's just missing something. Don't know. Zenith looks good though, and the reason why Orbis feels like it's missing something is because it's an extremely basic MMO. But it is quite an interesting look into the future of potential.
By something, it's missing everything
on VR. Yeah, I mean it kind of is. It's a very basic.
And by
basic
missing
MMO.
something, it's missing about 80% of a game.
Zenith looks really good though. I agree. It looks like it's gonna be a fun time.
It's definitely what I'm gonna check out. We don't really cover it. It is MMO, but we really don't get into the VR stuff. Occasionally, you'll see Jason pop like a piece on something like Zenith up, maybe on a slower day or whatever. And so maybe you'll see a little bit of Zenith coverage, but we tend to not really get into the VR because it requires that additional, system to be able to generate. Scott Frame says, question of the week, the only game I know for sure will come out is Lost Ark, but this game is not for me. Top-down is not my cup of tea. I'm sure there will be a release of something, just not announced as of yet, and that's all I can really be excited for. Well, Scott, I hope you get your announcement, man. I hope you get your announcement. Kind of sad that Lost Ark isn't for you, but I get it. Isometric camera angles. Some people look at that. Yeah, some people look at that and go, no, that's 90s. We're done with that. We're done with that. Go ahead, Jason.
So, Scott, I'd like to point out to a site called mmobomb.com, where there was just a list published recently of upcoming free-to-play upcoming multiplayer games. You should definitely check that out. I hear it's
definitely check it out. It's a good piece. It's a good piece. I know the guy that wrote it.
I know him. Guessly says, I cannot decide if I should give an answer or not, or if I'm too late, then whatever. Probably like most people, Lost Ark. After that, something like the day before, and maybe there will be a surprise launch for Blue Protocol. That's about it. Maybe I forgot something from the top of my head.
Honestly, like all the word out of Blue Protocol that I keep seeing is vague at best, not positive at worst as far as a Western release. I mean, at one time it was like, hey, we're hiring English local translators, with this will be, and then there's just been some stuff lately that it's like, well, maybe not at the same time. Well, maybe not right away. Well, maybe. Yeah. So, I mean, we still keep covering it when there's like a substantial news piece, but we're not going to be one of those channels throwing a Blue Protocol video at you every 6 days on YouTube. Yami Kami says, question of the week, I'm always looking forward to any Monster Hunter games on a PC release. Then Elden Ring, Lost Ark, Valheim full release, maybe. Oh, Yami got a bunch of titles looking at.
Yeah.
Question of the week this week has nothing to do with anything we talked about today, but I do want your two answers real quick before we finish out here. Question of the week is just something I'm curious about. Have you ever been banned or suspended from a game for something really dumb, or maybe for a totally legit reason, and it's just a story you want to share with us? Have you ever been banned or suspended from an online game? What happened? Tell us what happened. Jason, have you ever been banned or like got a timeout, a day or two timeout or something?
No, I'm a good boy.
You're a good boy. Zach?
No, surprisingly not.
Surprisingly not.
Surprisingly
He's like,
not.
I'm a dick online, man.
My
I don't know how
etiquette
I've
back
lost
when
it.
I was younger was awful. So I'm very surprised. But yeah, no, I don't really remember. And then also, you guys may know I sold World of Warcraft gold and power leveled accounts for money too. So and
Back
sold
in
accounts.
the day, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm very surprised.
This was before we knew him. We knew him.
But yeah, I mean, I had to pay my sub somehow, right? It all went back to Blizzard.
Yeah, that $15.
So, I mean, why would they be
killer
mad?
sometimes.
When you're young and you don't have a job, I mean,
it is.
I was like
when
13,
you're
14
grown
years old.
up, sometimes $15 is a big deal.
That's true.
Man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I have not been banned from a game. I have been chat suspended. Does that count?
It depends because some have automatic chat suspensions.
No, I got a Psionics reviewed my account and shut my chat down in Rocket League for 2 days.
What do you do when I'm not playing with you? What the hell?
I am generally like the most positive guy too. Like just playing, I'm just like, they'll score on us and I'm just like, nice shot. Like I don't even want to save people unless they do it first, right? Like if you start being a dick, I'm going to be a dick right back. And Zach will want to save people. And he's like, come on, you got to look at that. You got to want to save this. You have to want to save them. I'm like, no, they didn't do it first. So I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. There was like 3 days where I was doing ones. This was a couple months ago, actually. And I got in PC matches 1-on-1 and they were just straight up dicks. Like they were just like being absolutely toxic and abusive and the shit they were typing. But I don't really report people all that often. Like if you have a homophobic name or like a racial epithet in your name, I'll report that. I don't really have a tolerance for that. But if you just want to mouth off in chat, even if it's the vilest shit, I just let you go. Yeah, I don't say anything. However, in a couple of matches, they really got under my skin because they were doing it and I was losing. Worst combination ever. Worst combination ever. And so I may have told maybe like 5 or 6 different players over the course of a week to fuck off or whatever. And that's all I said. Like, fuck you or fuck off. You know, it was that type of thing. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
But enough of them reported me that Psyonix live chat banned me for 48 hours and sent me screenshots of me saying, you know, fuck you to these people. And I'm like, really? Did you scroll back? Like,
Mike, you ever watch an NFL game?
It's always the person that retaliates.
Second guy. Always gets the flag.
Yep.
Always. Yeah, they chat banned me for 48 hours. I was only allowed to use quick chat commands for 2 days. I was still allowed to play.
I'm kind of surprised they banned for that too, because like all the bans that
I have the screenshots.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten people banned because of it. You know, when you put a racial slur in chat, it's a slam dunk report and, you know, gone situation. But I don't really. I'm surprised they would ban someone or chat suspend someone for just saying fuck to someone.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I was spamming it to them either. It was literally like at the end they were like GG loser, and I was like fuck off. But I had done it like half a dozen times or so, and like 3 or 4 people reported me, so that I got the screenshots from multiple matches. So whatever. I served my time. I didn't even fight it. I was like, yeah, whatever. I did it. But did you scroll back? I mean, look at all the shit that they were saying. That's going to do it for this week's show. No Always Online next Friday. I'm taking my son out as part of his Christmas gift. We had to reschedule it. Originally, it was not on a Friday, but we had to reschedule. So no Always Online podcast or stream next Friday. We'll be back the following week. Until then, Zach, where can everybody find you?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Healthurian and also at Healthurius Games, and you can find my game Knights of the Forgotten Realm on Steam. Wish list appreciated.
Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter, and I don't know, just wish list me. Just wish for me.
Wish for Jason. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at mmobomb so we can tweet at you with all the latest news, articles, first look videos, giveaways. We just put one up today. We got some more going up next week. Go get them, podcasts, and more. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.